Okay, in this video I'm gonna show how to use this 3M restoration kit to turn this headlight into something like this. Okay, so the kit comes with some tape, some sanding discs, this clear coat applicator, rag, and a glove. So I'm gonna use this tape to tape around the headlight. So when I put the tape in, I try to kind of work it a little bit in between the seam and the headlight, and then flip it over. That way it's going to cover up more of the inside here. That way there's no scratches done to the bumper itself. All right, so I already cleaned the headlight with some Windex. And now I'm going to use my battery power drill with some attachment. I'm going to put it on low speed. I've seen a lot of people say that that's better, and I do think that's true. It makes it easier to control. And I'm going to use the this is the 500 grits disc. There's basically two types in here, the 500 and the 800. So these are first, and these are second, and this is third. And then finally you would apply this to both headlights. So you kind of have to do both because those applicators aren't made per headlight. They're made to be used on both at the same time. And then I just got some water that I'm going to spray when I finally get to the final stage. And maybe I'll spray it on using some of these other sand discs. So basically it's going to kind of like that. Okay, so I went through a single pass here, and I want to show a couple things. One, I put 2 layers of tape, and maybe 3 would be better, just because you'll kind of see that as you hit it with the disc, some of it will get kicked up. But if you got a couple layers, then you'll be good. The other thing too, I want to kind of show these things. So this is if you use a high speed setting of the drill, and if the disc is becoming worn. So if you see that, you are pushing too much, the disc is worn, or your drill is set to high of a speed. That's why I like to set mine. So there's 2 settings. So that's the fast one. I actually prefer this speed right here, the lower one. It actually works better. So, all right, so here's basically where we're at now. I decided actually to use water, so I just kind of spray that around, and then I sand it down, and that actually works better, I think. So that'd be my tip, is to use some water. This is still the original disc, and I was able to take out those gouges that were there before just by using some water and reusing the same exact disc. In the instructions, they don't really say to use the water until you get to this final stage, but I've seen other people on YouTube use it, and I think that that's actually a better situation. So maybe I would go first kind of pass through with the dry disc just to kind of get rid of the really heavy stuff on slow speed, and then after that I'll probably go on use the water. Okay, so I made maybe about 6 passes with this P800 disc. It's pretty smooth. I don't see anything that sticks out. Basically, that's what you're looking for. You want to be consistent. So when you're done with the first one, you shouldn't have any rough spots or any blemishes, because otherwise you'll be sanding a lot more with the finer disc. So first disc went through, got rid of everything that was sticking out, any pitting and all that kind of stuff. Then went through with this until I was getting pretty consistent white slurry. It's kind of hard to, I guess, say where to stop, but I feel like it's pretty even now, and I'm gonna switch over to the final polishing disc, which is this one. So this is the first pass with the final polishing disc, and they pretty much say that you should keep going over, spraying it off, and then re-polishing it until you don't see. All right, so that's coming along. Probably maybe 7 passes I've made. There's the disc still. So essentially after every pass, you really want to spray down and remove all of the plastic slurry, and there should be less and less of it as you continue. Basically, the other thing too, I really kind of try to clean the disc, kind of see. So you want to try to get rid of as much of this plastic as you can, make it operate better. But the instructions say to do about 6 more passes to 10 passes after you pretty much don't see much of a slurry anymore. But you'll be able to tell yourself because it gets clearer and clearer. It's not going to be 100% because there's still the final application, but essentially you want to basically keep doing it until it seems like there's not much improvement between passes. All right, well, so eventually you get to a point where you basically have what pretty much looks like clear water with just a little bit of maybe plastic in it. Pretty much at that point is where you're done. But you should essentially, when you're running your hand across, see no real scratches in there, no swirl marks. If you still see some swirl marks, that's probably from the prior sanding. So you want to go over a couple more times over that area. But you will definitely see a decrease in this kind of stuff as you're making more and more passes. So this is pretty much the finished product before applying the final clear coat. So I'm gonna dry this up and then apply the clear coat. Okay, so I applied whatever is chemicals in that final applicator. I cleaned off the headlight first. I dried it. There's some water on the outside, but I went through with a rag first and then paper towel. You definitely want to make sure this is all dry. And I didn't wait, but you may want to actually wait till everything around it dries. If you're not going to wear exactly, make sure that this edge here is extremely dry, like dampen it with a paper towel, because some of the water that's kind of collected in the gap here, some of it will run down after you applied your final chemical, and then there's like a streak that shows up. So I had kind of quickly wiped that off and reapply it. So be aware of that. Basically, this is all I actually used out of that whole kit. So one applicator and one disc, and then 2 of these P800 grit discs. So there's actually plenty there. They give you so many because if you have a really old headlight, you might need a lot of sanding. In my case, I just needed a little bit for the first disc and then just a little bit more for the second one. Basically, probably looking at like maybe 5 or 6 passes with the first one, maybe same amount of the second one, and then the third one is really where you're going to spend a lot of your time. This is that the finishing disc. That's probably maybe 15-20 passes is what I've done, basically until there was very little plastic slurry coming off. So all right, that's about it.